Back, everybody. This is session 0 and character generation of our upcoming D&D 5th edition game. We're doing a one-on-one game here with Diamond, friend of the channel, someone that I've been looking forward to playing D&D with for years, and it took getting an audience involved on the internet for us to finally get together to game.
I'm just a difficult person to get into a corner, that's all.
It really is, and more to the point, to get you in a room with 5 other people is.
Yeah. I took a nap to be here.
So, we had gotten through all your skill selections and features for first level, and have gotten about to the point where, let's see, we want to do your first level spell selection. We still have to roll hit points, but we can kind of roll those all at the end, and then we'll go level by level, and then we'll figure out your gear.
Okay.
You'll have more gold at 5th level than 1st level.
Sorry, this sheet is sort of amazing. The Forged Anvil. I'm using their D&D 5th edition character generator version 1.64, and I am pretty impressed, actually. I think the last time I tried to do this with any sort of character gen, it was just like awkward and didn't work right, and that was a number of years ago.
Yeah, thanks, Anvil Forge. I have, like the first time I picked it up, I was just learning how to do 5th edition just a couple of months back. I kind of quit D&D. I won't lie. I could talk shit on 4th edition. I'm just gonna say I took a break.
Where the heck are my spells?
In Anvil Forge, at the bottom, you'll see some colored tabs.
Oh, hey, that looks great. Spellcasting, click.
Spellcasting tab, blammo!
Found it. How many additional cantrips do I have? 6?
How many does it say you have?
6?
Sounds right.
It doesn't, like, say a number. It just, I can drop down a menu and it can give me up to 6.
Oh, cantrips are not cast per day. Cantrips are cast at will. You get to, with your 0 level spells, you just pop them off whenever you want.
Yeah. I remember that.
So you have spells known, and then you have, in other categories, you have spells per day.
Oh, I see. 8. Cantrips known is 9. Prepared known is 8.
College of Lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds a
Type
bunch
the name
of
of the
cantrips,
spell
right?
for spells not in your class list, because they're drop downs. Okay, cantrips. Let's just start there. I recall, because the character that I played very briefly with the other people was also a bard, although a very different style of bard. That's what we've covered. So I was able to spend some time reading through these, and they're sort of the same spells. Like the mechanism may be different, but dancing lights is still dancing lights is still dancing lights. You know.
Yes, they have the same net effect. Some of the rules have been streamlined and mechanics and things. But yeah, a fireball is definitely still a ball of fire. It's mend still mends things.
I like minor illusions, and is that since it's not going to give me a search option here. Spell lookup. There we go.
It's Yep. Thanks, Anvil Forge. It's like they thought of it for you. Yeah, down at the bottom, there's a drop down for all spells, which you may want to pull up the book and have like your class list up, because you can get a little lost in the full spell drop down.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at cantrips briefly. Okay, I was just making sure that, pardon me, minor illusion didn't require that I specifically state what type of illusion it is outside of the game. Like, I can only... Don't
oh, yeah, like you could only do one thing as your illusion? No.
Yeah.
It's pretty versatile.
The other thing I really like about the Order of the Stick list, and it's not the only one I've seen that has done this, is color coding the names of the spells, or the names of anything for what's most useful to bards as sort of traditionally played, which is both a general guide of like, you're probably going to find a lot of use for this, and a guide to like, you in the what we were talking about, not taking stealth. Like
Right.
specifically choosing something that might be useless so you find a way to use it.
Right. Playing against
buying
type sometimes.
It's like buying something at a yard sale because it's pretty and you're going to find a use for it. And yeah.
Right. I have to buy 3 other things to make this useful, but I'm going to do it. You see a rusted out wheel well, I see a new coffee table.
It's like you've been in my house.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, they actually lit all the things that I thought. Friends! Friends is the name of the spell. Oh my god. Friends. Great.
We're friends now.
Which is really useful to do to an audience. If you can convince that we're friends when you're playing an instrument, then you can potentially convince that guy, mirror neurons and the way brains work. If somebody else is convinced that you're believable, then more of the audience is convinced that you're believable.
Yep.
I don't talk to people for a living. I definitely don't do that.
Yeah. It's the same reason, like, as a political agitator, you plant a shill in the crowd so that when you say who's coming with me, you get the first 2 to come with you, and then everybody follows.
Hey!
It's invoking mob mind effect.
All right. So I got the 3 big ones. Blade Ward, I don't even know why that would be useful. I like dancing lights. I don't care how useful it is. I just think it's friggin' great.
Yeah.
Dancing lights is ridiculous. To make Will o' the Wisps. And also has good for performance. Like, when you can add like this substance to performance, if you're telling a story about Will o' the Wisps, like taking, this girl goes off into the woods and the Will o' the Wisps took her and then she came back and becomes a Rumpelstiltskin story. Like, if you can actually make dancing lights like with the end of that, spiel. I guess that's not a problem in this situation.
I always think of them like a disco ball. when a bard comes up, just bam. That was my Noah Arcane trickster. He used ghost sounds for his drum kicks. He had performance comedy was his thing.
Oh, I love it. 2 drums and a cymbal fall off the cliff.
I'm editing that out. That was terrible. No.
Message is useful. Mending is the really simple healing spell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Say?
It's not for healing. It's for like sewing.
Oh.
It's it'll fix your stuff.
That probably will be useful.
Yeah, as a crafter, super much.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, cantrips, minor illusion, friends, vicious mockery, all of which are really make sense with any performer character. Dancing lights, message, mending, true strike, light, and thunderclap. Now, message is it's a relatively simple message sent to another person, some magical means.
Yes.
Which is useful. And I recall that it has to be simple, but I don't think there's a distance problem with it.
I would have to read it in 5th edition. I know that previously, as long as it was like same plane, you were good. And there were some other more powerful ones as well. But yeah, I assume it's generally useful. I will note, so as a bard, if you are acting on the will and orders or in conjunction with the college, so say maybe you're on like a summer internship, or you're on your way to a work study program with some other group of bards in a different place, which is not uncommon. Like you go around and go to other lands bards and like, hey, let's swap some stories. What have you been up to? But if that is the case, you have a notebook with you that will write messages to the college, and you can receive messages back. So especially if you need to interact with other bards, it actually has, think of it a little bit like Twitter. You can call out, you can like write out somebody's name with a magical symbol next to it, like an @ sign, and that message will be forwarded to them through the central
Farnsworth is being
bardic
super
library.
problematic right now. Is that 140 characters? Okay. Social justice magic book.
Now, these are all logged as histories, by the way. These are every last message that every bard has ever sent in the history of the college is logged in the library. It's like an extra dimensional space that holds every
You have a library of
message
holdings?
between every bards. Yeah. It's on the island. It's part of the academy. Because I mean,
Okay.
you guys aren't directly affiliated with any of the towers, and it's not so subtly a way for them to make sure that they have a little hook like, you guys doing okay, everything's cool. And second, I mean, there's a preponderance of lore that bards discover and refine, and I mean, they are the scientists, but you guys are the media and the lore keepers. You're the people who are out in the field discovering shit, and that's you're the kind of outside of the ivory tower academic. One of those
I like it. No wonder I like words.
Field scholars.
Help make the story happen. Make sure it's a good one. Ooh.
So we've done the cantrip selection. We are still figuring out what other spells do you get at first level?
Casting. So I don't know, and I'm not sure where to find how many spells from each level I get. I know I get a total of 8, but I don't know how many from each level.
I'll give you a hint. It's an Anvil Forge. So if you go to your spellcasting tab on the left-hand column, if you scroll down a little, there should be a spells known. Oh, you know what?
Spells per day, got it.
Fifth edition does things differently. So your spells per day will be as per what's there.
Got it.
Your spells known are, I believe, are not level restricted. You could load them all up in level 1 and skip your level 2s, for instance. Note that in this edition of D&D, many spells have. Do you remember the heightened spell meta magic from 4th edition, where you could cast a spell as a higher level?
Never did 4th edition.
I mean, 3rd edition. Sorry.
Like, I didn't play a spellcaster with that, but I think it rings a bell. It's about what I got.
So there are many spells now that are like that. That it's just written into the text. You don't have to have anything special to do it. So like cure, there's no longer cure light, cure moderate, cure serious, cure grievous, cure, all the way up. There is cure, and I am casting it as a level 3 or a level 2 or a level 5 or however hurt you are and however hard I need to cast it. That's the level. That's the spell slot that I'm marking off, and then the dice that I'm rolling. So spells known, I believe, is no longer done by level. So
but there are a level of spells known per day, and I figured that out. First level is 4, second is 3, and third is 2, currently for me.
Right. And those aren't spells known, because as a spontaneous caster, you don't have a book that you study in the morning and you can cast anything in that book. You have a list that is innate, and those are the spells that you can cast every day without. I think you can swap them out when you level up, but your spells per day are how many times you can cast them. So if you took 8 level 2 spells, you're going to be kind of hurting because your level 1 spells you're going to be kind of wasted slots. So that's the balancing act I think you play.
Okay. I have such a fondness for Featherfall because of Dragonlance. Yeah. But because of Dragonlance specifically, I have such a fondness for it because it turns into a feather. Do you remember this? Just as feather. Yeah. Okay. Spoilers. You should, I mean, I just feel so good. Tasha's hideous laughter. I mean, poor Tasha.
I took out a dragon that way.
Comprehend languages, Featherfall, which is just like I don't know what you've planned, but it's useful to be able to walk off of second-story buildings and just not hurt yourself.
Airships exist in my world and are less uncommon in dwarven sovereign lands than in other parts of the world. I mean, they do trade routes, but dwarves do a lot of the build and repair on especially some of the like military ones, metalwork. Mostly they are designed by gnomes. So there's a level of dependability that
I was hoping you'd do that. That's yes. Any other version of gnome doesn't.
As a character with history expertise, you know that in recorded history there have been at least 2 times when the gnomish capital city was threatened, that it turned into like a giant zeppelin inflated over it, and the entire city lifted and escaped and relocated. This has happened twice. If you siege the gnomes, they're just going to fly away.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I wonder if she's like a gnome fangirl. I feel like she would just be.
Dwarves and gnomes have a long history of alliance and friendship. I mean, they're good aligned underground races that tend to have the same enemies. They're about the same size, so they make all the same jokes about humans. I think Gnomish even uses the Dwarven alphabet, if I remember right.
Heat metal, suggestion. I'm looking at level 2 spells. I mean, heat metal's great, and you can't save against it. I heated up your sword. You're gonna just take damage. Now that sucks. Or your armor melts into your skin. 3rd-degree burns are over like 90% of your body. You will die from that. Long enough timeline.
That shit sucks. And let's not forget the variable utility of it, because while swords and armor are the most combat useful stuff, like in the world there's a lot of fucking metal, and heating it up will have various different effects depending on where that metal is. So a lot of ways to go. I mean, you could carry like just a little metal box that's your field oven.
Oh, she might. I would hope she also knows how to make a fire. That's just not Boy Scouting.
Sometimes that's not safe, though. Sometimes that's not safe.
True.
Right? You were raised in the Underdark. Well, you were raised. No, you're a hill dwarf. You're a hill dwarf. Never mind.
Hill dwarf.
Right.
Out of daggers. What?
Useful. Very.
It looks like it. It's not any of the lists I'm looking at for card specific ones, but since 44 slashing, yeah. 5 feet on each side.
And if I remember right, it lasts up to a minute depending on concentration. Right?
It doesn't say here. Oh, yeah. Casting time is 1 act. Duration is 1 minute. Concentration. Which is useful if they close, basically. Like, you get close to me, and now the air is filled with slashy shit.
Yep.
That seems like a good defensive still.
Yeah, it's a great way to block a door. Go ahead, come through. Dare you. You know. And anything, I like spells with the concentration duration. You can only have one up at a time, just FYI. But, yeah.
I grabbed Healing Word also from the level 1 spells, just because, I mean...
Sure.
Healing.
And Healing Word, I don't know if that scales like Cure does. But it is distance.
Oh no, it's Cure Wounds. Cure Wounds. Cure Wounds.
Wounds. Cure Wounds is the one that levels up, but that one's a touch spell. Healing Word, I believe, doesn't level up, but you can do that at distance.
I was wrong. I didn't want Healing Words. I want Cure Wounds, just because I don't know that and this makes sense also for a character that you're going to build that may not be in a team, or may not be in a team till later, or maybe only in a partial team. You want to be able to depend on yourself. So how do you make that happen? You'll make different choices than you would if you're going to be able to help other people, or know that. And the character doesn't know that it's something.
Anytime you as a player or the character want there to be a party, there will be options to recruit. I can work that in. There are shit tons of adventurers. I mean, there's whole companies of them out there. Maybe we'll depending on where you go in the world, we'll see who you run into. But yeah, there's lots of folks available for hire, or that may have common goals, or need to get to the same place. So traveling companions. You're a termigrant, remember?
That's ways to convince people. Okay. Bestow Curse.
Oh.
That good, huh? Oh. Duration is... But duration's only a minute. And it's concentration.
But what's it do?
Choose one ability score. When cursed, the target has a disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws made to that ability score. While cursed, the target has disadvantage on rolls against you. This is choose from one of these, sorry. While cursed, the target must make a wisdom saving throw at the start of each of its turns. If it fails, it wastes its action that turn doing nothing. It's just, if you make it really anxious, it's just like, I'm gonna do the thing right! And it doesn't do anything. We'll just call this anxiety.
Analysis paralysis.
While the target is cursed, your attacks and spells deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to the target. Wow. And remove cursed spell ends the effect. DM's option. You may choose an alternative curse effect, but it should be no more powerful than those described above. But it means I can also potentially, like, if you cast a spell using a spell slot of the 4th level or higher, the duration is concentration up to 10 minutes. Oh, so it levels. Oh, it gets longer. At 5th level, it's up to 8 hours. I might need to get this one. Might be
I think it gets up to permanent.
I
might be wrong. There might be different spells.
7th is 24 hours. 9th is it lasts until dispelled. Dinner.
Now that is like level 17, so look forward to it. But yeah, that's a thing that you can do.
I now want to get to level 17 so I can curse someone with thinner. Like, I now want to do that. I now have a goal. But also, so would you be game for bestowing curse, and this sounds sort of terrible, but bestowing curse that essentially functions as mental health symptomology? So, for those, I don't know how to refer to you, internet, who exist out there, internet. By profession, by profession, I'm actually a social worker, and I work with a lot of mental illness. That's sort of what I do for a living. Which means that I know a lot about how it sort of engages people on the inside, how it stops people from being able to do things. And if I'm going to play a character who's going to curse someone with anxiety, believe me, I know how shitty that is. And I know how terrible of a day that person's going to be having with, I'm cursing you with a panic attack right now. Have fun.
Oh, God.
But part of knowing about this stuff is being able to use it in a way that makes it normal and safe. Anyway.
As a spell, I would say two things. There are a lot of ways to wrap that skin on some of the effects that's there, like disadvantage to everything, or negative to a wisdom check or a charisma check, or disadvantage on various things. So there's a lot of ways that what is listed could be described as inflicting some sort of neurosis. I think for higher level things, there may already be a spell that does like crippling mental effects, and we'll check on that first. But I think describing those things as like inflicting that on somebody, I mean, it makes you a certain sort of asshole, just so you know. That's
well, and I mean, this is defensive, at least partially. This is at least partially this is D&D. This is Dungeons and Dragons. It initially began as hack and slash. I'm going to be fighting something at some point. That's the way this happens. At some point, I'm going to have to hurt a thing. So,
yep.
Being able to hurt a thing.
It is a violent world. And my homebrew, while I have a lot of like social stuff and societal structures and all sorts of interesting stuff to explore there, at its core, I have retained the basic tendency toward combat for D&D in the setting. So yeah, there's a lot of shit that will try to kill you, and shit that will react violently if you try to kill it. So
I have to say, I'm really appreciating the way that I can't remember the guy's name. I'll have to look it up from Order of the Stick, is writing about some of these spells. Bestow Curse, he says, when I read the text for the spell, I feel like a trick is being played on me. You can choose from all of these awesome debuffs or convince your DM of another one? So like, oh, I have to go read that. Also, it has for sending. You know what's totally situational? This spell. Speak with dead. Also this spell. Speak with plants. Also this spell.
Yep. It's great when you're there and you have it.
Better. And D&D is not a situation where it's better to have it and not need it. You got to figure out it needs to be useful.
Right.
It looks like a lot of third level is a little bit meaner.
Yeah, that's when you get into like the
So it really, I mean, fear is great. It's gonna. I'm not reading the details, but it's going to give me it's gonna scare them away from me. It's a fear. Like this exists in every game.
Right. Or it gives them some amount of negative modifier or disadvantage when interacting with you. Yeah, it inflicts fear. Are you going to be a mental mage bard? Is that where we're going with this?
It feels like
what I would really. Happening?
I don't know, but dispel magic, though, is also really useful, especially if you're going to be engaging with any other spellcasters, especially in their home turf. Like dispel magic is useful, so I am torn between these two.
You get bonus spells based on your charisma, right?
Yes.
You have not yet decided We haven't done the level up stuff, so we haven't decided whether at 4th level you're going to get a feat or a stat boost. If I remember right, you're on an odd number on charisma, and that means you might get an extra bonus spell and may not have to choose. You could take both of them spells now.
Maybe, but for the moment, it's choosing as if I can't.
Yeah.
And it seems like fear is probably the safer initially. If you can get them to run away from you, then you can give yourself a minute to do something else. If that makes sense.
It's true. It's true.
There's a specific, like, you know, staying alive part to this that I watched Serenity this weekend, and there's the moment where Mal does the Mal and the assassin operative are talking. Would you, like, do you believe that? Yes. Would you die for it? Yes. And then he shoots him. Certainly not plan A, though. Like, staying alive part. The staying alive part. So I'm going to go ahead and go with fear. So currently we have 9 cantraps, which are Illusion, Friends, Vicious Mockery, Dancing Lights, Message Mending, True Strike, Light and Thunderclap. Level 1s are Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Comprehend Languages, Featherfall, and Cure Wounds. Level 2 is...
I do want to double check. So are some of those cantrips supposed to be from another caster's list via College of Lore?
I have no idea. It literally just gave me...
Because I think you got extra from College of Lore, and I think they might be... You may be able to cherry pick off of other people's lists. If you go to page 1 of Anvil Forged, to the first tab, and scroll over to the right, it'll have in your class features, thanks Anvil Forged, Bardic Lore, or your College of Lore class feature. I could be misremembering completely.
Bard College feature, bonus proficiencies. Bard College feature, cutting words. When a creature you can see within 60 feet makes an attack roll, ability check, or damage roll, use your reaction to roll 1 Bardic Inspiration die and subtract the number from the creature's roll. Font of Inspiration, regain all expended uses of Bardic Inspiration after a short or long rest.
Okay. All right, so never mind. I thought...
Also, I have Bardic Inspiration. I don't know where to put that, but I can inspire people.
Yes, and you can use it yourself. It also... there are some feats that give you, or feats or potential class features that give you other things you can do with Bardic Inspiration. But yeah, you pass out dice. You give dice to allies. It's handy.
Have a die.
Let's see.
So, level 2 is Heat Metal, Suggestion, and Cloud of Daggers, and level 3 is Bestow, Curse, and Fear. She's ready for a fight. I kind of feel like there's no subtlety here. Like, Suggestion.
So, I was going to say in the choice between Fear and Dispel Magic, going back to being the sort of person that wants to know how everything ticks, that would lean toward more toward Dispel Magic. To be honest,
that is a good argument. That's what I wanted, was a good argument. Thanks.
Yeah, I like to go to concept and character arc. Like, you know, we've already established a certain mindset of the character. You know, a mental manipulation, fear mage. That's kind of a different sort of thing. That's when you're in the high functioning sociopath realm, like you mentioned.
I apparently get 6 additional cantrips. What?
Yeah. That, I think, is from your College of Lore. And I think those might be from someone else's spell list.
Yep. Green Flame Braid. Flame Braid.
Pick a different sort of caster whether it be the wizard sorcerer spell list, the warlock spell list, I think it has to be arcane. No, actually, I think you could pick cleric or druid or paladin or whatever the hell you wanted. Paladin. Oh, that's kind of badass. I hadn't even thought of that.
Oh my god. Does it have to be, so for this, does it have to be one other sort of general range of casting, or can it just be an amalgam of whatever seems like a good idea?
I believe you have to pick one list, and you can pick off that list. Now we should look it up. By we, I mean you, because you're the player. I'm that kind of GM, by the way. Like, if it goes on your character sheet, you look it up. If it goes on my character sheet, I'll look it
up. That's good, because we'll spend a lot less time rule lawyering. I hate rule lawyering. I literally just want a list of, there we go, different 5th edition spellcasters, and then that's due to the college?
I believe that comes from College of Lore. Double check that. I'm not sure where those 6 extras might have come from.
Additional magic secrets. Who doesn't like more spells? Yep, that's what that's from. All right. What? It's not a... Do I have to function... To do these spells, do I have to function as that spellcaster? For example, clerics get their spells from their gods. Do I have to also...
No.
Okay.
No, you have
It really is. I was just playing music one day and cantrip popped out. What? I don't know.
One might suggest that it is because music is a transcendental... music and performance is a transcendental method of accessing magical manipulation. One might argue that, and by one I mean several professors who were like, we're definitely the best mages. Yeah, definitely.
He's gonna love it when I'm playing bagpipes.
Okay, I expect you to get bagpipe music to play in the background. Like
the one thing I already researched.
And I love that. I mean, you can play bagpipes while you're giving a speech, because I mean, it's like, Phil, speak while you're in. Phil, speak while you're accompany oneself.
My God, why it is apparently impossible to find a list of spellcasters. I just want a list of spellcasters in D&D.
If you go to do you have the core book?
I don't have it open.
If you open it and go to the spellcasting section, they have the quick breakdown of like spellcasters and their spell list, just like the name. It doesn't give you the details. But I'll tell you off the top of my head, it's bards, clerics, druids, sorcerers, paladins, rangers, wizards. I forget any? Druids. Yeah. Warlock.
Also, barbarians path of the totem warrior.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And Dragonborn has a breath weapon. Sorry, I may have found a list. Apparently, thanks Reddit. Oh, that's cute. The Reddit for D&D has the 2 Ds as D&D. It's adorable. I'm not a Redditor. Sorry. You guys are great. Just I cannot spend that much time arguing with people on the internet.
Engaging in discussion. There are some corners of Reddit that aren't just like flamers and angry nerds.
No, it's true. It's just I just feel the rather talk to face with people, or just not. I am tired of discourse sometimes. Anyway, back to this. Core difference between warlock and wizard.
Warlocks have made a pact with some extra planar power, be it a fae or a demon or an eldritch horror. That's where Cthulhu pokes his little tentacle into D&D, and gain their powers thus. Wizards study formulas and the math of magic, and that's how they do it. Sorcerers are it comes out of their blood. They are by heritage predisposed to be able to access arcane magic.
I think I'm tossing between warlock and wizard, but it's just cantrips, none of the other spells. I think that wizard seems to have ones I'd be more likely to use than a warlock gets very mean very quickly.
Yes, wizard definitely has a wider range of utility. Warlocks are their weapons. They're glass cannons.
I'm going to go ahead and check clerics. I've never played a cleric, so I'm not as familiar with theirs, but... What?
Yep. I'll tell you what.
Words I don't know how to pronounce.
So I'll tell you what, while you read through that, let's take another quick break. And, I'm sure everybody wants to watch us read through the spell list.
Right?
But in the meantime, we'll take a quick break and be back before too long.